Hello, my name is Anjani Segrist, and today I'm reading the New Moon Astrology Report for the 23rd of June, and the exact time is 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this new moon is in the sign of Cancer, and so here's the sun at 2 degrees and the moon at 2 degrees of Cancer. And you can see we have Mercury there at 5 degrees, which is a really tight in, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then also Mars is there at 12 degrees. So everything is sort of bunched up here in the sign of Cancer during this new moon time. We also have all of this stuff, since this is all within 10 degrees, square to Chiron. And Chiron is down here at 28. So Mercury, Sun, and Moon are all square to Chiron. So the first thing I'm going to say is that the new moon is always a starting point, and it's an extra big opening on starting because of the solstice that we just had on the 20th, and I did a video about that. You can check that out. I'll put a link for that for you. So it's a starting point. It's how we're going to set the structure, set the foundation for moving into this next season, which we have summer right now in the hemisphere which I live. And Cancer is about home and family. And what came up in the solstice reading was that, you can think about your physical home, like your address, or you can think about your soul's home, or your soul's address, which is your physical body. You can take this to, looking at it from either way that you feel comfortable. So this opening that we have on the new moon, extra emphasis because of the solstice being just right there, just a few days before. We're still in the solstice energy during the new moon. Looking at family, looking at your physical body, looking at what you consider to be home. And the saying, home is where the heart is. So using all that imagery to start off your new moon in Cancer. Now let's look down here at Chiron. Chiron has been known, or I will say infamous, for being the wounded healer. And a lot of times we look at Chiron to find out what your wounds may be, your deficiencies or your fears. And that's, really helpful. But also on the other side of deficiency and fear, you have your greatness and your gifts. Those two things, greatness and deficiency, are on one pole. So they're, different ends of the same pole. Speaking of polarity, you have deficiency and you have greatness, all on the same pole. And it just depends on where you're at with that. So finding out your weaknesses will automatically show you what your strengths are also. In some kind of crazy way, we're not really able to see that. We'll either see it as a weakness or we'll see it as a strength. But when you can expand your vision a little bit and see that they're both there, you know what I mean? There is no separation between your strength and your weakness. So, yeah, so much stuff just came in, and I'm gonna just give one example that popped in. So if you feel that your weakness is physical temptation of flesh, that you can't help yourself for like lusting after physical bodies, that's a weakness. You see that as a weakness. The strength of that is it's on the same pole. Being able to be your own, all that energy of going after something, you turn that around and build yourself in the way that you're chasing. You turn that around and build yourself up. So everything is polarity. And I think the Hermetics said everything is dual. It's the same thing. Everything is dual, meaning that on both sides, I called it the gates of duality for the full moon last month. The gates of duality, meaning that there is a center, there is the gates that you can go through. And, this is a magical place to be in when you're not on either side of the pole. Learning to, and I mean, I really think that when we get to the gates, it's like death in a way, because everything that you've known about yourself before you enter those gates of duality can't come. It can't come through those gates. So anyway, big stuff going on for this full moon. So working with that Chiron energy, and thinking about it from this way, from those gates of duality. So seeing your wounds as your biggest gift, it really is just being able to, if you write down, like I will say that mine has to do with, I almost want to say insecurity, not being good enough. So yeah, insecurity. The other end of that would be, and I could list out the things that I'm insecure about. And those things are also my greatest strengths. So, I actually have an article about Chiron and the ways to work with Chiron that I'll attach to this video. Please do the exercises. It's really short, really simple. I mean, as far as like doing it, but deep and profound stuff that happens when you're able to look at yourself in this different way. So, with the sun and moon being square to Chiron, you could say that your wounds are coming up. You could say that your deficiencies and your fear and abandonment and betrayal and all these things are coming up in this little fresh start or new beginning. But the way that I'm seeing it is that you are finding your own power in those gates of duality and being able to walk through and leave everything you believed about yourself back there, in the and go through clean, come through clean into this solstice time and this Cancer new moon time, and build up your physical body, your soul's address, from a fresh, clean slate. So here we have Mercury with the sun and moon, also with Chiron with this square happening. So, wow, communicate about this. Listen for information. Do those exercises that are attached to this video, because that's going to really get you communicating with your own soul and with the universal soul. Listening and speaking. Listening and drawing. Listening and, whatever ways that you express your communication, the way that the pure consciousness is running through you is going to be completely different than it's running through somebody else. And what you have, we need it as a collective whole. So that's what I'm seeing there for the new moon. And there are some more things here, but I feel like this is enough to work with. I will just give one more thing. Pluto is opposing Mars, and Pluto is opposing Mars. It's also close to opposing Mercury. Close meaning that it's closer to Mars, but not too far away from opposing Mercury either. So don't forget about the underworld, your own shadow. And what I was talking about with Chiron, those things that you consider to be wounds, Pluto is where we're going to really find our power. The thing I like to ask when Pluto comes up into the cosmic play or into one of these astrology readings, who are you without your names, without your titles, and without your stuff? Who are you? When you can answer that question, I'm not saying that you should be able to, but start asking yourself that question, because in there is your real true power with nothing else attached to it. It's just raw, pure power. Pluto, I'm in a Pluto cycle right now, which for me, it lasts for a really long time because I have some a very unique, we all have a very unique setup with all of the astrology, but my Pluto cycle lasts a little bit longer. So almost 2 years, actually. It's usually about 18 months, but mine's a little bit longer. So this is really about a time of walking through those gates and really investigating all your beliefs and being willing to question your beliefs and let go of your beliefs. When you have beliefs about yourself, which we all do, it's a healthy thing to believe something about yourself. When you can question them and wow, really, if I say I'm a healer, I never say that, by the way, but people refer to me as a healer. If I say I'm a healer, that sort of gives me a pinpoint, a focus of, which is one reason why I don't like to identify myself as that or as anything else. I've never, my big kids, my two teenagers, dad used to call me a hippie all the time when, years ago. And I would be like, I don't call me that because I feel that I am everything. I am vast and expansive. And when you pinpoint it down, I don't like it. But if I have identified with something, then it sort of takes away all the other things. And, for consciousness to stream through my body and through my eyes, seeing the world in this one way, it has to forget everything else. So during a Pluto cycle, it's like it sort of breaks away all those beliefs about yourself, removes all the stagnation, and it is a death and a rebirth at the same time. It just keeps going. Die, reborn, die, reborn. I'm like, oh, that's not true. Okay. So things are leaving. And then, at the same time, almost, it makes me cry when I'm doing my meditations and I wake up from dreams and I go running, whatever it is. It's like I'll have this little mini death and rebirth happen over and over and over. So people who know me might be noticing this, like, wow, you look different, you sound different, your voice is different, my body is definitely different. So we get to work with Pluto energy collectively for this new moon in reference specifically to your inner masculine, the way that you relate to your masculine essence, the qualities of you that, the feminine and masculine have been greatly skewed in our perception and our vision. And I've done a lot of work about that. And you can see that also in my writing about sort of taking those apart and then putting them back together for yourself to see what is your inner masculine. How do you express the divine masculine? All right, so I could go on and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but I'll stop now. Please like